It's the 6th of May 2022. You're very welcome back to Real True Education, not fake news, on the channel. I'll just show you what's Real True Education, not fake news. And this is about a very harmless subject, crystal radios. And the funny thing is that it's 44C parts. I got 805 checkouts of my the video before the last. 805. That's 44A, 44A I think it is. But anyway, I just one of these anyway. I got 805 views. Can't believe that. I can't understand why everyone just checked that out, and they don't always check out other ones. But that's the way it is. Anyway, they're very welcome. It's a good sign. So it makes it important that I get on and get it finished. So the thing about it is, I wanted to so you know the parts. Now you might want to build a crystal radio now, but you'd be no harm to have the parts, because I think these parts mightn't be available in years to come. I mean, there's only one company in England making the earpiece. Now, so central to the whole thing, and an absolute must, irrespective of what way you're doing it, is an earpiece. And the earpiece is a special design. It's a special, it picks up very low power. It has a certain resonance. It has a certain limit. And I want to show it to you here in this. That's it there. Now, I think I may have shown it to you already, but that's it in the packet. Now, these are available from some private outlets, from eBay and from Amazon. And I'm going to just tell you here so you'll know what's written on it. It's Sound Lab, right? Sound Lab. Sound and LAB capital, a stroke cream mini earpiece with jack 3.5mm new, and there's a code for the scan. It's X001FXNHKT. So I'll just get my fingers off that so you can pause it there and have a good look at it. That's it there. Right, I think you have that. But it'll say on it that it's for a crystal radio. You needn't be trying headphones or anything else. The signal in this case is extremely weak. So you can see it there, folks, and you can see the jack in it. This is the jack. Now I have cut off that. I cut it off. I just used the wires because you mightn't have a receiver for that jack or a place to put it. So that's it. But just get to understand that's what you're looking for. I think I can't show it any more than that. So I'd be inclined to buy a couple. They're not that expensive. They're not very expensive, and you know. Anyway, even you never build a radio, there's certain things you can do with it. If you take that jack, that earpiece with the jack on it, and connect it to the ground and the aerial or the antenna, you'll hear the frequency coming in for that antenna. You'll hear the boo. You actually hear the waves being converted into a sound. They're not intelligible. They don't tell you anything. It's like a hum. I think I have an idea where the signal on my one comes, and it'll depend on the aerial. But there you are, you can actually hear a radio signal with nothing, only these, and a piece of wire out the window, and the ground. Sometimes you don't even need the ground, sometimes you can hold it in your fingers. So you already have made a radio with these. Now, if you had to make these, you couldn't. These are unbelievably delicate. It's credit that they're still available. So that's one thing you need. I'd be buying a few of them. They mightn't be available. Now, the next thing we need is a resistor, right? A resistor. Hope you have that there. And there's the number 4414. 4414. And I was just out. I got a bit of wet there out in the rain. I have a wee bit of a sneeze coming on. So here's the box of here's the resistors. They come in a packet like this. And the word 4414 is on them. 4414. Okay. And I'll hold that up as well. Now the resistor, where do I leave them? Yeah, the resistor is. I've shown you that. And so you buy them. Here's the resistor again. I'll just hold it up again. And there's what you're looking for. A little packet. There's 2, 4, 6, 7. There's 8 in that packet. They're cheap. Now, the function of those is, if you had, let's say, a 12-volt battery, which was charged up to 13 volt, volts, and you had an 8-volt bulb. Let's say it was a fairy light over a Christmas tree and you were stuck. You couldn't let the 13 volts flow into the 8 volts. It'd burn it. Even though it's direct current, it'd burn it out. So you need a resistor. Now, the lead of a pencil would be a good example, or a very, very long piece of tin wire would also act as a resistor. But if you were doing it like for what we're at, where you need some measurement, you need the a little resistor that's purpose made with special materials that resists a certain amount of the power and doesn't heat up unduly. But radios do get warm a little bit, and it's mostly resistors do it. But the point is, there they are. They're the little fellas, and they just when the signal comes in, it's like a wave, and they just trim a wee bit of the excesses off it. The other thing is, you could probably do without them, but I believe that the earpieces are actually made and designed to be accompanied by them, because if they had to put whatever is needed into the earpiece, it'd make it too big. They couldn't fit it, so it's simpler to have the builder of the set put it into the circuit at home in his own little set. You understand that now? Technically you should do without it, but I think the reason they don't go so well without it is that the earpiece is built to have that little resistor in there to avoid large currents. Now, funny enough, my one will pick up electric fence and make a big crack. You'd think that would blow them, because they say that those earpieces will blow if they get too much power, but it didn't happen with me. It's all part of the experiment anyway. Now, the next thing is the centerpiece. Here it is. I hope you can see that. And this is the detector. Now, I've explained already, the signal comes in as alternating current, and you have to trim half of it. You only let the top half. The alternating current, you'll hear it. It comes in as a buzz, but you have to chop off half of it, and that other half then causes a magnetic vibration in your ear, and that allows you to hear it as sound. You understand it? It's a bit like if you were in the company of 4 people and they were all telling you something important at the same time. If you had a way of shutting off the other 3 and just let one at a time speak, you'd hear him properly. Do you understand? That's kind of what it's like. The wave is this way, like a W, and you chop off half it. Now, have I given you the thing is what you want is the detail. Now, here are the ones I got. And there's the make of them there, and there may be others. Now, these are 1N34A. See there, 1N34A. The old ones long ago was 1N34. They've upgraded them a little bit. And there's 20 in that pack. I only used one so far. I presume you'd need, if you get it going right, you'd have to footer about a bit and get different ones till you get the optimum. And then you might break another one or something else. So look, I hope you have that there. These are all available on eBay. Now, the next thing then is there's another type of a diode called a Shokey, S-H-O-K-K-Y. Shokey. They're a modern equivalent. I don't know how good they are, and I'm not sure if that's them. But I remember applying. It was a while ago since I bought these. I applied for, or I tried to buy another type, and I think these are the 3-4. These are the ones without the A. They don't have the A in it. Do you understand? And I think the IN34 is one type. See it there? Now that's not a Scotchy. The Shokey diode is a different thing. It's a modern equivalent. They say they're good too. I don't know. I might try a few sometime. Now, but I just wanted to get the original 1N34, and I think this is they here, because the diagram of them on the internet, there's nothing comes with them. They don't give you any information. The diagram on the internet would indicate that these are the classic old germanium diode. We'll give them a go whenever we get time. Okay, I think if you get the germanium diode with the A in it, I think I'm getting results. That's all I can tell you. Now, so the question then is, you have nearly everything you want. If you wanted to build a swanky one and go on from here, because we're doing this from scratch, there's a coil needed, and this is my attempt to wind a coil. And mind you, it's not so easy. I have a little lump here. That's not an easy job. That's why I'm trying to show you the ropes before you get that far. It's not easy winding these now, to tell you the truth. Now there's 3 types. One is where you use the coil in conjunction with the aerial, and this causes an inductance or inducance, whichever you call it, in this, and that affects where the frequency is. And along here, you have different frequencies, and you tap that with some contact, and then that should give you a signal for and allow you to change your station. And then you have a variable resistor like a radio set, which also helps. Now, the thing about it is, to say you can make a variable resistor using the like of this stuff here, you know, these tubes, and you can put this tin foil around one and slide them in now to use them as a variable resistor. If it comes to the point with me, I'll probably take one out of an old radio and use it to try it. But if I was doing it to make a proper crystals radio to leave after me after my day, I would probably make one out of tin foil, because you have the components. But for now, I'm not using either a coil or a variable capacitor. These are necessary for tuning and for weeding out unwanted signal and unwanted programs. Anyway, I'll just show you now the diagram. Oh, and here's what I had here. There's a coil, right, and capacitor variable. You have that coil and capacitor variable. They're for the full hog. They're when you're really going to get it well. But I just want to build it from the ground up. And this is the diagram. Now you see here that the resistance is in parallel. Some say it will work in series, but that's what I got to work for the moment. We can root around with it. But the diode, this is the detector. It goes between one leg. It just goes between one leg here. See that? So you have your earpiece connected to the diode. Okay. Now that's it again. There are variations. This is what I'm using for now, and we keep you up to date. So, how did I get on? Well, first of all, the first little thing that I enjoyed was that when I put this in my ear and connected just direct to the two, I got a great buzz. It was buzzing, and that was the signal coming in. You would hear bzzz. That's the very high frequency coming in. And the frequency is affected like light, color light. The transmitter excites atoms in a piece of metal or in an antenna, and it excites them, and they send out radio waves, and it depends on the energy that goes in that causes the atoms to resonate at a certain frequency. These electrons and protons and neutrons are flying around the atom at the speed of light. That's another science. So what you're doing is you're disturbing them at the transmitter and causing them to go out through as waves out from the transmitter. The same as we heat up a bar of iron and you get it mad red hot, you can know from maybe 50 yards, or maybe at least 20 anyway, meters, that it's red hot. If it's white, it's red hot. If it's only dull red, well, sure, it's not too hot either. You know, you can know the various temperature by what color it is, and they use that in astronomy also. But in the case of radio waves, the way that they're excited and modulated causes the way that they're made causes the atoms to fly out and leave, or the particles to leave, and that's a whole science, creating electromagnetic waves. And those waves will vary in frequency, and that is why you can have several, I'm on 13 minutes, that's why you can have several stations, because the antenna and the radio set, receiving set, can pick up the signal and differentiate it so you can hear one station. Okay, so that's the basic idea. And on the 30th of April in the evening, that was a Saturday evening, I got it up and going, and there was nothing for a moment. And the huge problem is lack of bad contact. You'd really want to solder these joints or tighten them down well, but sure, I was using bits of elastic bands and everything else, and it was crackling and messing. Oh, you really have to get them solid, that they can't come loose, because the signal's so weak. Anyway, about 8:30 in the evening, didn't I just get this noise, a sound? And it was a song, and I could hear When I Awaken in the Morning, or I Awaken in the Morning. And then I could hear a man talking. I couldn't make him out too clear. And the next thing was another song, and it was Take Care of Me, or Take Good Care of Me, or Please Take Care of Me. and I could hear this and lovely music in the background. So I had a song. So I kind of had achieved my objective, which was to build a radio that worked with the most basic of components. But that was all right anyway. It faded away, and that was a damp, wet evening. And I think if the aerial gets wet, the insulators carry current, and that's destructive. You need dry insulators. So the ideal would be heavy, thunderous weather before there comes a shower, when the air is thick and heavy, but it's just not wet. So anyway, that was all right. The following day was Sunday, the 1st of April. Sunday, the 1st of April. No, I'm wrong. Please forgive me. It was the 30th of April that I heard this music. And I think that was a religious service. That was a Christian broadcasting station. And there used to be, and I think there still is, a Christian broadcasting station on Shannonside Northern Sound, which is the local radio in Cavan and Monaghan in Ireland. It's a licensed radio. Now, there used to be a lovely lady on that called Jean Maxwell. It was a man was on it this day, but I think that's what it was. Funny enough, other crystal set people have also found that the first tune that comes in is a crystal radio song, or a Christian radio song. Maybe it's that the broadcast in AM, I don't know. But I got it roughly enough to say I heard something. But still, before I could say my goal was achieved, I had to achieve something a bit more significant. And on the 1st of May, look at it here, 1st of May, 2022, I was out on the farm and I got a bit wet. It came rain. So my feet were a bit wet and I had boots on. And even my socks were a bit wet. And I came in anyway, and I said to myself, right, we'll dress down and get dry into something nice and dry, and have a bowl of soup or a mug of tea or something. And as I went up past the radio, I said, well, we'll try it. And I lifted it up, and the contacts weren't good, but my fingers kind of sealed them. And I put the thing in my ear. In fact, I think I put the little thing in my ear before I went. But as I put it in my ear, like that, and I lifted up the components, and I could hear a football match with a man announcer. And he was shouting as loud as could be. Oh, and instead of having it, I stayed real still. I think my body was helping with the earth, I'm not sure. The next thing was I could hear, McKenna! That's McKenna. McKenna. And he shouted something about McKenna! And he shouted again. And the next thing is, it went kind of all fuzzy. It wasn't good, and it was crackling and everything else. But the first thing I did was note the time, and it was 5:19 or 5:20. I'm not sure if my watch was exactly right. 5:19, that'd be 1900 hours on the first day of May 2022. The conditions were dry and good enough, and at that time, the match between Tyrone, the Gaelic football match, GAA, between Tyrone and Derry for the Ulster Championship was being fought out and played in, I think that's Healy Park. It's in Omagh, County Tyrone, I'm nearly sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was being played there anyway. And I knew the match was on and I'd hear the result, but I wasn't listening to it. But I didn't know all the players. I didn't know who was who or who was playing that well. I wasn't well versed. And if you asked me to list out 6 players, I'd have to admit I wouldn't succeed. Just the way I'm under pressure, I don't have time to look at them till there's somebody like my own team playing or something, then you get all excited. But I never heard of the name McKenna or Conor McKenna before that moment. Now, I didn't hear Conor, but I heard him shout. You know the way an announcer gets excited towards the end of a game? Like, he was shouting. So the signal was coming in good, things were good, and I heard the name McKenna twice. And at exactly 5:20 that day, exactly 5:20, Conor McKenna was sent off from the game for he had red cards, or he was alleged to have, the referee felt he did something on some other player or broke the rules. So it's now 19, nearly done. But the point is, folks, I didn't know about a McKenna playing, and that proves what I had was Shannonside Northern Sound, probably, or else that it was BBC. It was a channel that was broadcasting the match, the Gaelic football match, and it was 80 miles from me up the road. I suspect Shannonside Northern Sound, but it might be an Ulster Could be a BBC or maybe some of those other downtown radio too, because that's Northern Ireland, and they would be broadcasting both all kinds of events in Northern Ireland. So I'm not quite sure which of the two it was, but I'm deeply suspicious that because there was a Christian program on it the night before, and maybe that there used to always be one on it, that it was Shannon Northern Sound. Doesn't really matter. The point is, this Conor McKenna was running around and getting into a bit of bother on a field 80 miles away from me, or maybe a little less, might be 70 from me, and the announcer was getting excited and shouted out his name, and I heard it clearly. I mean, it was as clear as day, McKenna, and like that, McKenna is a very common name around where I live, and years ago, McKenna's used to own a television when no one had one, and they used to go up to listen to football matches there. So the point is, folks, I achieved my goal in the most rudimentary way. The signal faded, and we'll be taking another look at it again. So that's just the news on that. And as I said, this is all a bit of fun. I've shown you now the components. I think €20 would probably deliver them to you. I think it would. They're not. I think they come from. I think they're from England. I don't know really, but they're on eBay and they're on Amazon anyway. And I've given you a full account of them. I've told you the basics. If I go on now, I'll have to try and get a proper coil. I'll have to get some way of tapping it here, and I'll have to perhaps get a variable capacitor out of a radio or try and make one out of these things. That's for another day. I hope I've explained the whole system to you and that you're a bit wiser and that you enjoyed my video. And it's a long video, so it's time to go, folks. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down and let me know your comments underneath. If you can, I'll put this for adults. I would love to put it for kids, but that stops comment. If anyone knows any answer to that, great. And thank you for your comments below, and thank you for everything. We'll see you back soon. Thank you.